Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for the segment, we have Eric Pulier, founder and CEO of Vatom, as well as the inventor of the Smart NFT, to discuss accelerating Web3 adoption and how it will change the way organizations engage with their customers and employees. It is great to see you again. Welcome back to Trade Talks.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me, Jill.
You got it, Eric. Explain your partnership with Deloitte. Why does it have such important global implications?
This is a truly significant moment, not only for our company at Vatom, but really for the industry. It's really the first time to see a company like Deloitte make a statement that they're going to lead the next generation of the internet. And making that statement has really created waves. People are trying to determine what does it mean for their business and how can they take advantage of this moment.
Why is the technology so valuable for businesses, and will other Fortune 100 companies follow suit?
For sure. I mean, if you look at the technology, we're talking about a convergence of technologies that represents a new way to communicate with each other, with your employees, with your partners, with your customers. And just the way the internet, when it first came in, and when the web after that started to revolutionize the way businesses ran, we're now going to the next generation of the internet, which changes the way that we can actually gather data, learn about the people better, and then create personalized communications. So when we talk about collaboration around e-commerce, around digital twins in factories, there's so many use cases now that are going to start to be deployed.
Right. Of course, this is a technology that Web3 is leveraging. So what are some examples of how businesses will use this Web3 product, and what are the benefits?
Sure. Let's take a few key examples. And I do believe that most Fortune 100 companies, if not all, are now going to start to deploy these capabilities. The first is, if you look at even the types of collaboration tools that we have now, where we're stuck in a box, right? And you're in a video conference, there's something called Zoom fatigue, where you actually about 7 minutes later, you're not really focusing. You're wandering off. You're wondering if something's on the stove. You know, this is something that's biological because you're in this zone. But what happens is, as you free yourself from the box and you're actually giving agency to the individual, and spatial sound, where you hear someone on your left ear and they're over in the distance and you can see them and you can move over, your attention refocuses. Then when you start to add different interesting technologies to that converge around the idea of a Web3 wallet, the ability to hold tokens that you can earn by, for instance, watching a video or answering a quiz, these now become gating factors to get you deeper into information and better connected to the people that you're collaborating with. So these are good examples of how standard communication and collaboration tools are now going to advance to the next level.
It is amazing how gamification motivates us, that's for sure. How will this shape the future workforce, and does it change how next gen is hired?
It certainly does. I mean, first of all, it changes how next gen are going to be sourced and where they might work from. And of course, how they're hired will depend on the interpersonal relations that you develop with someone. Churn, once you actually are hired, very much depends on the quality of the relationships that you build. One of the things that we're doing with this technology, it sounds like technology that is advancing a lot of different ways to connect to people, but the most important part of it is how people connect to each other. We're really bringing the human back into the system. If you think about the evolution of this technology, it's good to go back even before the internet to the telephone. When the telephone came out, people were quite nervous, like with all new technologies, that it was going to stop people from wanting to see each other. But in fact, that's not what happened. What happened was you were able to communicate better with people that, for reasons of geographical distance, you couldn't see, even your own family, right? You didn't have lower relationships or worse. Now, as the web evolved, it actually did start to create disconnection between people. If you look at social media and ways that it created loneliness and disconnection and information about people instead of connecting to them. What this does is brings the human back into the equation. And one of the more significant aspects of this and how it'll affect the workforce is that people are going to be able to connect better and build long-term relationships more effectively.
Is the speculation we saw in 2022 coming to an end? What do investors need to know with the introduction of this enterprise-ready Web3 product?
The speculation phase of the introduction of cryptocurrencies and NFTs, that was an interesting moment where people started to become aware of the power of these technologies, but it really only scratched the surface of their real utility. In fact, what we're seeing now is it scratched the surface and revealed that it's probably less than 5% of what's really interesting about this. The real majority, the vast use cases that are now emerging come from applying these technologies to business in ways that we couldn't even imagine before. When, for instance, when Apple cut off this notion of cookies, right, of how people were using cookies to kind of surreptitiously gather data in ways that were not well known to consumers, this became a major issue for how people were, or companies were now going to reach their consumer. With Web3 technologies, you can now use the Web3 wallet to more ethically and effectively reach consumers and then create direct relationships with them. And this now goes not only to consumers, but to employees and partners as well.
All right, Adam, Eric, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thanks for having me.